Tonight, in our coverage, as sunset falls during Ramadan, one man's vision lights up Sudbury's Northern Muslim Association Mosque in Ontario. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Elia Batul. The National Council of Canadian Muslims has strongly criticized the appointment of former MP Marco Mendicino as interim chief of staff to Prime Minister-designate Mark Carney. The organization has cited concerns over Mendicino's stance on national security and international human rights. The backlash comes just a day after Carney's appointment as leader of the ruling Liberal Party. Many Muslim voters and Liberal supporters are expressing frustration over Mendicino's selection. The former public safety minister has been a vocal supporter of Israel and its war in Gaza. In a statement, the group points to Mendicino's opposition to the International Court of Justice's decision on Israel and his resistance to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. The group also highlighted his past opinion pieces, including those defending Israel against accusations of genocide and condemning anti-Israel boycotts. Mendicino is currently vice president of the Canada-Israel Interparliamentary Group. The group warns this appointment could undermine Canada's role in sensitive diplomatic negotiations, particularly with the Trump administration. The controversy places Carney's leadership under immediate scrutiny just a day into his tenure. The Prime Minister-designate has yet to respond to the growing backlash. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced an escalation in the trade dispute with Canada, doubling planned tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum imports to 50%. The decision follows Ontario's move to impose a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to parts of the United States. Trump says the new tariffs will take effect tomorrow. He says the only way to eliminate trade disputes would be for Canada to become the 51st state. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has strongly opposed Trump's economic policies. Ford warns the electricity surcharge on Michigan, Minnesota, and New York could cost American families and businesses as much as $276,000 per day. Ford said if the U.S. escalates further, Ontario could cut off electricity exports entirely. The announcement has already impacted financial markets, with the U.S. stock market dropping amid uncertainty over Trump's trade policies. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of steel and aluminum to the U.S., with imports totaling $19.5 billion last year. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce has warned that tariffs could lead to job losses in Canada, while retaliatory measures may result in higher consumer prices. Despite concerns that the trade war could harm both economies, the Trump administration remains firm. Trump also accused Canada of underfunding its national defense. It claims that the U.S. provides more than $200 billion in subsidies each year. Incoming Liberal leader Mark Carney has promised to challenge Trump's policies and strengthen Canada's trade ties with other nations. The U.S. Congress is considering a bill to prevent any president from using military force against Canada, Greenland, or the Panama Canal without approval. Rhode Island Congressman Seth Magaziner has introduced the No Invading Allies Act to block federal funds for such actions. He says attacking allies would waste resources, risk American lives, and damage key global alliances. Donald Trump has repeatedly shown interest in acquiring Greenland and reclaiming the Panama Canal. He has also hinted at using economic pressure to weaken Canada, making annexation easier. The bill reinforces Congress' authority over war powers. It prohibits military action unless Congress formally declares war, grants approval, or confirms an imminent national threat. Magaziner says Trump's expansionist ambitions proves he cannot be trusted with unchecked war powers. The bill is now under review but faces hurdles in the Republican-controlled House. Israel's blockade on Gaza has deepened, worsening the humanitarian crisis as fuel shortages cripple water desalination plants. The closure of the Kerem Shalom crossing has left families struggling with severe water shortages, forcing them to pay exorbitant prices for drinking water. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Jordan have condemned Israel's decision to cut off electricity. The power supply was severed on Sunday, despite an existing ceasefire and prisoner exchange deal. Hamas claims Israeli forces continued to occupy the Philadelphia corridor, preventing vital aid from reaching Gaza. In response, Yemen's Houthis have issued a warning, threatening to resume attacks on Israel-linked vessels in the Red Sea unless the blockade is lifted. In the occupied West Bank, tensions remain high as Israeli forces carry out a large-scale military operation in Azun. Dozens of arrests have been made and 2 young men have been injured. In Jenin, an Israeli army vehicle has struck and killed a 32-year-old Palestinian man as heavy military operations continue in the area. Over the last 50 days, Israeli forces have killed at least 30 Palestinians, arrested 300, and displaced 90% of the refugee camp's residents. More than 500 homes, schools, and businesses have been destroyed. Gaza's government media office reports the death toll has reached at least 61,709, citing thousands still missing and presumed dead. More than 111,913 have been injured in Israel's war on Gaza. Ukraine has carried out its largest drone attack on Moscow, killing 3 people, injuring 18, and forcing flight suspensions at 6 major airports. The strike targeted multiple locations, including residential and industrial sites, with debris causing damage across the city. Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian infrastructure have intensified in recent months, demonstrating Kyiv's growing capabilities in drone warfare. Overnight, Russia claims to have shot down more than 300 Ukrainian drones, the highest number intercepted since the full-scale invasion began 3 years ago. Moscow has strengthened its air defenses, deploying electronic countermeasures and anti-drone systems. Russian lawmakers are now calling for retaliation using advanced hypersonic missiles. This comes as Russian forces are pushing forward in Ukraine's western Kursk region, aiming to encircle thousands of Ukrainian troops. Meanwhile, high-level diplomatic talks between Ukraine and the United States have begun in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. This marks the first formal engagement between the two nations since tensions flared between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The talks follow Trump's decision to pause military aid to Ukraine, pressuring Kyiv to engage in negotiations with Russia. Ukraine is seeking security guarantees, including a ceasefire agreement covering the Black Sea and the resumption of U.S. support. It is also offering a rare earth minerals deal that Washington is keen to secure. The Kremlin has expressed willingness to negotiate. However, it is demanding Ukraine drop its NATO aspirations and recognize Russian control over occupied territories. In Pakistan, separatist fighters have attacked and seized control of a passenger train in the southwestern province of Balochistan. They have taken more than 180 people hostage. The Baloch Liberation Army, which has been waging a long-running insurgency in the region, has claimed responsibility for the attack on the Jafar Express. The train carrying approximately 400 passengers was en route to the northern city of Peshawar when it was ambushed in the Buland district. Reports show militants detonating explosives on the railway track, forcing the train to stop inside a tunnel. The attackers then opened fire, engaging in a gun battle with security personnel on board. The Baloch Liberation Army has issued a statement claiming that it has taken military personnel hostage. It is warning of executions if security forces attempt an operation. The group also claims to have killed at least 20 soldiers and shot down a surveillance drone. These claims have not been independently verified. Pakistani security forces have been deployed to the remote and mountainous region, but rough terrain is making rescue operations difficult. Authorities say efforts are underway to secure the release of the hostages safely. Balochistan has long been the center of a separatist insurgency, with groups like the Baloch Liberation Army demanding independence. The province, rich in natural resources, has seen frequent attacks targeting security forces as well as Chinese nationals working on infrastructure projects. The Canadian government has announced new funding aimed at improving security for the Muslim community in Mississauga, Ontario. An investment of nearly $60,000 will be provided to the Islamic Society of North America in Canada, enhancing security measures at its facilities through the Canada Community Security Program. Charles Sousa, member of the Parliament for Mississauga Lakeshore, made the announcement this past week. Sousa says the government is committed to preventing hate crimes and protecting vulnerable communities. The funds will specifically support security upgrades, including new equipment and training to respond effectively to threats. The Canada Community Security Program was launched by Public Safety Canada in September last year. It replaces and enhances previous federal initiatives aimed at protecting places of worship and community centers. Officials from the Islamic Society of North America welcome the funding. They say the funds will provide the Mississauga Muslim community with safer places to worship and gather. Every week during Ramadan, as sunset approaches, the Northern Muslim Association Mosque in Sudbury, Ontario, comes alive. At the heart of the celebration is a buffet table that mirrors the rich diversity of the Muslim world. Behind this successful initiative is Abdul Ati Betta, the board director of the Northern Muslim Association. Betta has been instrumental in fostering the community spirit that defines these weekly gatherings. He is known for his warmth and welcoming nature and ensures that everyone feels included and connected. Dishes from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the Middle East, and North Africa share space with Italian lasagna and some Canadian food. Betta jokes that, surprisingly, no poutine has made an appearance yet. The initiative started 12 years ago as a casual gathering of friends sharing pizza. It has now blossomed into an event attended by around 200 people each week, with the figure growing. People initially came by word of mouth, asking if they could join, prompting the association to formalize the gatherings. The mosque's doors remain open to everyone, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, fostering unity and a sense of belonging. Those interested in learning about the Muslim faith, sharing a meal, or simply making new friends are warmly welcomed. Despite diverse backgrounds and cultures, everyone who gathers at the mosque shares a special bond. They are all rooted in the North. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.